Hello everyone and welcome to our Intranet Success webinar. My name is Annette Doherty and I'm the Marketing Director at Elcom Technology. We've packed a lot of information into this 30-minute webinar and hope you'll find it informative and useful. Your presenter, my colleague, Josh Anstey, our VP of Customer Solutions, has worked quite closely with a diverse and interesting range of organizations to build effective intranets, and today we'll share his insights from his many years of experience. So let's get started. Over to you, Josh.
Fantastic. Thanks so much, Annette, and thank you very much, everyone, for joining us today. Very, very excited to be discussing communicating with the distributed workforce with everyone on our webinar. During our webinar today, we're going to be covering these 4 key agenda points. First, we'll look at the key challenges organizations face in communicating with the distributed workforce. Then we will look at the key challenges employees face as remote workers. Once we recognize these challenges, we will discuss the best practice techniques to improve your organization's productivity. And finally, we'll review how technology and your intranet play an important role. Please also join in the conversation and follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and LinkedIn. During the webinar, you can tweet with us at ElcomCMS and with the hashtag Intranet, which are on the screen right now. So to start off, we do want to run a poll, and so we're going to be putting a poll up on your screen right now. And the poll question is, do you currently use an intranet to communicate with your workforce? And there are 3 options over there: yes, no, and we are considering implementing an intranet. So we'll give everyone about 30 seconds to respond to that. It should be up on your screen, the 3 options over there. Do you currently use an intranet to communicate with your workforce? Yes, no, and we are considering implementing an intranet. Getting some great results coming in there. I'll give everyone about 5 more seconds to vote. All right, perfect. We're going to close off the poll over there. We're actually going to share those responses with everybody because there are some pretty interesting responses there. So as you can see today, of everyone on the webinar, we've got a huge 84% of the attendees today currently have an intranet, which is awesome to see. 5% don't have an intranet right now, and 11% are considering implementing an intranet. So for those that do have an intranet right now, I think you're going to find today very beneficial. You'll be able to compare your current intranet and have a look at some of the best practices and recommendations and see if you are actually currently using those, and maybe you should look to implement some of those. And for those who don't have an intranet, we're going to give you a great idea about reasons why you should have an intranet. And those considering implementing a new intranet, hopefully this is going to help you make that leap forward into implementing the intranet this year. All right, fantastic. So let's get right into it. According to Gartner, a staggering 84% of organizations today have a remote workforce. This is quite an amazing statistic and something to keep in mind as we progress through the webinar. This statistic speaks to the changing nature of business culture, life-work balance, and employment criteria. And there is definitely that shifting focus on the skills and fit for the job versus the actual location of where people actually are based out of. I do want to start off by saying that we think it's fantastic that so many organizations do have remote workforces, and there are many reasons we do feel this way, but one of them is that it actually enables organizations to hire the best talent for the team, regardless of their location. So let's look at some of the key challenges for the organizations. And before we do go through all of them, I do want to remind you that there are many ways to actually look at the challenges for the organization and how they communicate with their distributed workforce. But due to time restrictions and limitations, we're only going to be discussing a few of them today. Firstly, knowledge sharing is a big challenge. With employees working remotely, trying to share your knowledge with your team and colleagues becomes more difficult. Finding out who the company expert is on a certain topic or letting someone know that you've just discovered something is not as easy as a quick conversation over the water cooler, which I'm sure for those that do work in an office environment, you're very familiar with that sort of environment and scenario. So when companies build their teams and have remote offices and locations, they need to be thinking of ways in which they can help encourage knowledge sharing. Collaboration is another key challenge. It's very easy to walk over to someone's desk, pull up a chair, and work on a project together. When you have a remote workforce, you need software and tools to facilitate this collaboration amongst team members. Many companies are recognizing the need to engage and involve their various communities, internal and external, as members of their innovation ecosystem. Collaboration and culture are critical to success for progressive innovation, especially if you aim to be a disruptor and not the disrupted. So an internal culture of innovation that supports expression of ideas can easily be facilitated by a well-designed intranet. Employee engagement and company culture can go hand in hand here. When you have a remote workforce, it's very important to consider how you will engage with your employees who work remotely and keep your company culture. They may not be around for all the social events and other activities, but there are some great ways to engage your employees who work remotely. Maintaining the company culture is a key challenge for a lot of organizations, but often one of those challenges that organizations don't really think of or realize when they compare it to things like knowledge sharing and collaboration. Here's another statistic and quote I thought everyone would like. Forrester Research's U.S. telecommunicating forecast notes that 34 million Americans work from home. This number is expected to reach a staggering 63 million, or 43% of the U.S. workforce, by 2016. So that's a pretty phenomenal number there of how many people are actually working from home. And looking at the scale there and the U.S. scale, it's an amazing statistic there. There are also many challenges for employees. While these are very similar to the challenges from an organization's perspective, when we run through these now, think of these from the eye of the employee. One of the biggest challenges for employees who work remotely is that they are working in isolation. This is more the case for employees working from home or in those smaller remote offices. These employees don't have a big team and the rest of the office around them to interact with every day in person. Another challenge for remote employees is the limited access to information and knowledge. As mentioned earlier, it's a lot more difficult if you cannot just walk up to someone and ask them a question or to assist you in finding certain information. Typically, an employee working remotely will spend a lot more of their time searching around trying to find the right and relevant information. And for anyone who's on the webinar with us today, if you have worked remotely at some time in your career, you'll definitely understand that challenge of trying to work out where the information is, who to speak to, where to find it, what the best way to access it is. So it's a really, really big challenge, and probably one of the top few we hear when we speak to employees who are working remotely. Teams and employees that work remotely will also find it difficult to build a relationship. It's not as easy to build that relationship when you're all in the same office every single day, and so the interpersonal relationships that are naturally built are much more difficult to try and reconstruct or replace with technology. There are ways to do this, but it is something that needs to be considered by teams and managers. And finally, it's a lot more difficult to have a voice in project discussions if the right technology and tools are not in place. If the whole team is in the same room for a meeting and a remote employee is on a phone or video conference, there is always that slight difference to having your voice heard during the project discussions when you're in the room. Group dynamic when a team gathers in the room to brainstorm or discuss projects gets lost on the remote worker stuck on the end of the phone, and it's hard to participate and be heard. But if you combine some of the social functions of an intranet and throw it up on the big screen, not only will others engage this way, but also the remote work can be seen, heard, and read. So by having the right tools in place and building the right culture with remote employees, there are ways to actually overcome these challenges for employees who are working remotely. We've had quite a few great questions come through. We will be answering them towards the end, but if there are any other questions, feel free to type them in the question box on the right-hand side, and we'll answer those in the Q&A session at the end of the webinar. So now that we've had a look at the challenges that organizations face, that employees face with the remote workforce, let's look at the best practices for managing this and how technology can help solve this. We'll look at the technology in a moment, but essentially implementing a powerful intranet with social collaboration and functionality will actually help you manage a distributed workforce. So let's look at the best practices for this. And there's three best practices we're going to be focusing on today for communicating with the distributed workforce. first one is search, and search is extremely powerful. As we saw when we reviewed the challenges, one of the big problems is around users quickly and easily finding the information, documents, and digital assets that they are looking for. If your intranet has a powerful search, you can save employees time and make their jobs easier. There's a quote up over here from IDC, and I do actually want to read this to everyone. According to IDC, ineffective information access costs organizations an annual productivity hit of up to $14,000 per employee. An intranet analytics audit would focus on identifying and refining failed search queries to save employees time and boost productivity. Refining 10 failed search queries, for example, equates to saving around 15 minutes of employee time. I'll give that a second or two for it to sink in for everyone, but it's pretty phenomenal there. So if you want to put that quote in perspective, think of your own company and the tasks that you're trying to complete. How long does it take you to find that proposal template? How long does it take you to find the document of policies or the leave request form? How quickly can you find the internal expert on a certain topic? It all starts to add up. So having a powerful search will make a big difference. Moving on to the second best practice we have here, and that's really around making sure your intranet is mobile friendly and thinking mobile first. When you're building an intranet, you need to ensure that it is mobile friendly. So you should think about how your distributed workforce will access your intranet on their mobile devices and tablets. The ability for employees to access the information they need when and where they need it. And there's many different ways to go about doing this. You might want to look at building a responsive intranet. You might want to look at building an mobile adaptive intranet, which is not the responsive design. Adaptive is more where you target it specifically for the device, and you may have an idea of the different types of actions or activities or the reasons why they go to your intranet on a mobile device. But it really is important. No longer do people want to actually come into the office and be within the network and then be able to access the intranet. More and more employees want to be able to access it remotely, whether they're sitting at a computer working remotely or whether they're actually on the road all the time and they might be in sales, or you might have certain employees that are out in the field and they're not necessarily in front of a computer or in an office, and the best access to technology they have is their mobile device. So that is really the key to the organization, the key to the culture, the key to the business. And if they don't have that internet on their mobile phone, essentially they'll feel disconnected and disengaged. So by having a mobile-friendly intranet, you're really putting yourself in a position to communicate, collaborate, and actually engage with your employees no matter where they actually are. And so it's a really important point, and we're seeing that happen a lot more these days. A lot of organizations who are building brand new intranets are thinking about making sure that they are mobile-friendly from the beginning. And then there's a lot of organizations who have intranets in place right now, and now they're considering, how do I make my intranet externally available? And there's a few different considerations. Obviously, there's the security consideration. And with the security consideration, it's a long discussion which we won't get into today, but there definitely are ways to make your intranet securely accessible via mobile devices and via tablets. There's also the user experience and what your intranet's actually going to look like on a mobile device. And so if you're building it from the bottom up, you can build for responsive straight away. If you have your intranet in place, you can still make it mobile friendly as an afterthought. There's a few things to look around doing there, but it is definitely possible. So, mobile friendly really is important. I really can't stress enough how vital it is, especially with distributed and remote workforces, that you are building your intranet to be mobile friendly. Social collaboration tools are the third best practice area all around social collaboration, and these really will increase knowledge sharing and help engage your employees and build a company culture. 70% of organizations employ social networking technologies, and a recent survey was finding out how many organizations actually have social networking technologies in the organization implemented as part of their intranet. Although what was really interesting was that 10% of them actually use them with any degree of success. And I think that's a really telling sign. It's great that so many organizations are taking the leap and moving forward and implementing social networking functionality inside their intranet, and that's fantastic to see. But only 10% are successfully doing it. So the big question is, what's everyone doing wrong and where's the difference? And so it's really important to understand it's not just about implementing the tools, but you do also need to have a bit of a strategy and some governance for the social collaboration. And social really needs to be part of the organization. There needs to be a purpose for it in the organization. Whether that's from a look and a feel perspective and a design of where is that social feed going to be, how will people collaborate, how will they post updates or post documents or images or collaborate on projects. So whether it's from a look and feel perspective or whether it's from a policy perspective where certain people know that this area is for projects only, this area is for teams or offices or for a company as a whole, or maybe social as well. It's great to be able to have a social area to build that culture we spoke about earlier. And social, I think, is a really important aspect where employees that are working remotely, if they know the social feed somewhere where people post up photos from a social activity and a gathering, people can at least feel part of the team. A great way to increase the user adoption is if there is engagement from all levels of the organization. So if the CEO is posting updates on the social feed, employees will be more inclined to engage with the social collaboration tools, as they will also see this as an opportunity to engage with the CEO and provide feedback and input into the organization. And that's really a big telling sign, is if the CEO and management are engaging and they're posting updates and they're listening and they're replying, it really does wonders for the rest of the organization in terms of using the tools there, and also everyone else feeling comfortable that it is appropriate to use those tools and it's accepted and actually encouraged. And you'll definitely start to see the benefits flow from there. So there really are many benefits to implementing social collaboration tools as part of your intranet, and often you need to try it out and see how your organization adapts to social collaboration. Some just pick it up straight away, and some need to be encouraged and guided along the path. But it is something you'll definitely start seeing the results and the return in a very quick time frame. This is another great quote and statistic here I thought you'd find very interesting. According to McKinsey, by fully implementing social technologies, companies have an opportunity to raise the productivity of interaction workers, high-skilled knowledge workers, including managers and professionals, by 20 to 25%. So that's amazing. If you're looking at your team, your department, your organization, and you know you're able to actually increase their productivity by 20 to 25%, you can start doing the numbers for yourself and see how you can actually build and grow your business. So to wrap up the 3 best practices, we've covered search, mobile-friendly intranet, and social collaboration as well. So we'd like to jump into a poll now, and there's a poll that's going to be going up on your screen right now. And that poll is, which one of the following do you consider to be the most important for your organization to improve? And we're looking over there, we've got search, we've got mobile, and we've got social collaboration. We'll give everyone about 30 seconds to quickly answer over there. So which of those areas do you feel is the most important for you to be improving? Your search, your mobile, your social collaboration? Give about another 10 seconds for everyone to quickly jump in and vote over there. We've got some very interesting numbers jumping up. Another 5 seconds, and we should have most people voted. Just about everyone's voted now. All right, fantastic. All right, we'll close off the poll right now. And we will share these results with you because they are really, really interesting. So I'm going to put that up on the screen there. So you'll see 39% of people that responded to the poll said search is the most important. And that's probably definitely expected in terms of the key goal for organizations and for employees who are working remotely and with that distributed workforce to be able to find the information you need. It was interesting, only 13% said mobile. And that would be interesting to look at whether that's because you don't have remote work employees who be accessing your internet via mobile or tablet, or because there's security concerns, and there is still that area where some people don't want to take that jump yet to making it mobile friendly. So it is interesting that that's not as high as if we were talking about your website maybe, and whether you want your website to be mobile friendly, and you probably see a significantly higher number over there. And we have 48% for social collaboration, and it's definitely the area where we're seeing a lot of growth, where everyone's really jumping into it all, is making sure that their intranet has that social collaboration functionality. So some really interesting results there, and hopefully everyone on the webinar can see those results and can take something away from that in terms of what you selected over there and where that might fit in your organization. Perfect. All right, so implementing an intranet will make it much easier for you to communicate with the distributed workforce. And there are so many ways in which technology can play a key role in supporting the strategy, solving the challenges, and also following best practices. So we've got a few different ideas here. First is around implementing an intranet, a web CMS that's mobile friendly and also supports different types of authentication for single sign-on. So when you log into the internet, it automatically signs you on to your intranet. You have to then go again, put in a username and a password. Making sure that you're implementing on a really flexible CMS. There's so much functionality everyone wants to implement and build and deploy. So it's really important that it's flexible, that you can add this on as you need to. You might be in the early stages of evolving your intranet and you're not ready for social functionality on your intranet and social collaboration. But you definitely want to know that if you do want to add that on down the line, you've got the ability to add it on and it's got the functionality there. You might not want your intranet to be mobile friendly yet, but you'd like to know that down the line it's flexible, the platform, and we can then make our intranet mobile friendly when we're ready. Alternatively, maybe you're ready to do everything all in one go, which is great, and you just want to make sure the platform's going to be supporting you. Another point is to ensure that all the content on the site is all customized and personalized. So when someone logs into the site, they're seeing completely personalized and customized information and content, whether it's based on security level in the organization, location, team, department, project, whatever it might be. You definitely want to make sure that the intranet is completely personalized and customized for the users, because someone working remotely is probably not going to be able to make that morning tea you've got in the office in the kitchen. So maybe that's not the best news for them to see on their front page. So you do want to make sure you can personalize that for your users. There's a whole bunch of others. I'm not going to run through them all, but that just gives you a snapshot of some of the other areas in which the role technology plays in distributing, communicating with a distributed workforce, and obviously communicating with all those employees over there. So as we start to wrap up the webinar and as we move towards the Q&A, I did want to give you a quick overview of Elcom and Elcom CMS. Elcom is a globally recognized web CMS. We've got over 1 million end users on the platform and a global team, and we work with mid to enterprise organizations to achieve their corporate objectives by delivering powerfully simple web solutions and customer experiences. Elcom CMS powers intranets, websites, portals, mobile, social, and e-learning sites. And we've got over 90 base features out of the box. So Elcom CMS makes it very easy for you to quickly and cost-effectively deploy solutions to support your distributed workforce requirements. So that's the quick overview about Elcom. So what's next? Even if you're in the early stage of looking at options, we're happy to meet with you and discuss your scope, your needs, and help you develop a plan, a budget, and a way forward. If you've got an intranet, which a lot of people on the call did have today, we're happy to work with you to help you refine that, to help you improve it, to help you add that additional functionality and help you achieve those different objectives. So if you identify that you've got an intranet and social collaboration really the #1 priority for you right now, we'd love to chat to you about helping you enable that functionality and helping you communicate with your remote workforce there. So please contact us. We can arrange an obligation-free consultation and talk to you about your needs, your requirements, and your objectives. We're also really excited to announce that we've just released a brand new Elcom Intranet white paper. So the white paper is called Intranet Success, 3 Considerations for a Successful Intranet. It's a really awesome white paper. It's going to give you an overview of what an intranet actually is, how intranets fit in today's modern workplace, the challenges in building the workplace intranet, some best practices, and key trends. So whether you're looking at implementing an intranet or whether you have an intranet in place already, it's a white paper that is for absolutely everybody, because you'll notice a lot of the challenges, even if you've had an intranet for a few years, you might still have a whole range of challenges which we've addressed in the white paper, and you're trying to actually overcome those and move past those. So it's a really, really awesome white paper that's available right now. We will be sending you a follow-up email with links to the white paper as well as other resources, but you are able to actually go download that right now from our website, elcomcms.com. All right, so there's been a lot of questions coming through in today's webinar, and it's fantastic to see the big turnout and how engaged the audience has been so far, and where you are in your intranet life cycle and trying to deliver a successful intranet. So we're really, really excited about that. We are sort of close on time, so we're going to answer a few questions. We're not going to get to them all, unfortunately, but those that we don't get a chance to answer, we will come back to you and we'll actually answer on a personal basis over there. But we will start asking a few of the questions and answering some of them.
Okay, thank you, Josh. So having a quick look through those questions now. The first one, which you touched on a little bit, the question is, if you already have an intranet, can you make it mobile friendly as an afterthought?
A good question, and well, we touched on it a bit earlier, and I'll cover some of the points you mentioned when we're talking about mobile. But it is definitely possible to make your current intranet mobile friendly, even if it is already in place, which it is for a lot of our attendees today in the webinar. And there are a few ways we can go about doing this. You may also take this opportunity, though, to look at doing a redesign of your intranet so that it is built for mobile from the ground up, as there is a different process you go through regarding the design. You might find that the way people are using your intranet and engaging with your intranet is very, very different to the way you thought they would when you designed it in the first place. So often it's a great time to do a bit of a refresh, a bit of a redesign, and start tailoring the user experience and the content around mobile or distributed users and mobile technology, obviously. So please feel free to contact one of our account managers or our sales reps, and we'd be more than happy to actually talk you through this.
Great. Another question that we've got here is, why is social collaboration so hard to implement?
Very, very good question there. So a very, very good question. It's probably something that's on everyone's mind, given it was the top priority there, and we've spoken about it a lot. So there's a lot of different areas to look at. The technology is probably the easier part of actually implementing social collaboration and social functionality. I think the reason why it is typically so difficult for organizations to implement is more from the culture perspective. Depending on the type of organization, some people might not fall towards wanting to engage in a social collaborative way with other users. There's also the trust of, what if someone's going to post something inappropriate, or is someone going to take my idea, or is it safe, or is it secure? So that's often a real big challenge that organizations have. And also, from a leadership perspective, is not all organizations have users that are going to actually engage with you on the internet there from all different levels. So it's not just something to be used from one certain level in the organization. It's really got to be bottom-up, top-down sort of approach everywhere. There's not one way or the other. Everyone's really got to be engaged with it and really vested in making sure social collaboration is successful. So those are really some of the key reasons why it is difficult to implement. It's less around the technology. It's more around the business and the processes. And also one more thing I might actually add is that it's new. It's something that people aren't used to and haven't done before. And so depending on people's level of early adoption and happy to be an early adopter in the organization, it's a very new thing. So there are some people that are just nervous and cautious about it. And if you think about just technology throughout time, whenever there's something brand new that everyone's getting into, there's always certain people who are hesitant before they just jump head-on straight into it all. So that is a big reason why it's a bit difficult for some organizations to get over the line. Usually not from the user perspective, it's often trying to get it approved to actually implement it.
Yeah, and look, I'll just add to that, that in terms of leadership, it's often a need to be able to demonstrate the value of social collaboration within an organization and how you're going to manage risk. So I think if a little thought goes into that, then often that can lead to a more open leadership style. The next question is a natural one to follow on, which is how can we moderate social activity?
Good question, and only a matter of time before someone did ask that. But probably the second big question we get from everybody after the do you have social functionality tools and we're thinking of implementing it, and it is really a question we receive all the time. So there is the ability to actually moderate social activity on an intranet, but you do need to remember that the point of adding the social feeds and social collaboration tools is actually to empower your employees and empower your teams. And so people don't want everything to be moderated. They don't want everything to be approved before it actually goes up there. It sort of defeats the purpose of social. There are a few approaches, I guess you could say. So having internal community managers is a great way to help encourage social collaboration on your intranet. Having people that go through and make sure that there are quick responses and that there are replies as well it is really important. You've also got to remember that, for example, I'll talk about the Elcom CMS here, the social module in the Elcom CMS actually has the user's profile picture, first name, and last name next to the posts and updates they do. So that's very self-moderating in itself as well.
So there's another question up here, which is referring to social collaboration tools being available to use with selected third-party suppliers and whether they can be used with the Elcom product suite.
Very good question there. So it depends what you're looking at specifically. In terms of social collaboration, there is a ton of social collaboration functionality in Elcom CMS in terms of posting updates and creating team workspaces and team rooms and being functionality, also like online social Q&A, posting questions, getting other people to answer, and seeing the relevant industry experts in the organization. In saying that, though, there is a lot of integration Elcom has done with a whole range of other applications and platforms globally. So if there is another tool you're using, there's always the ability to integrate Elcom CMS with whatever the other application may be. To talk more generically from a CRM perspective, very often we integrate Elcom CMS with Salesforce or Microsoft Dynamics CRM. So depending what other tools you might be using, there's definitely the ability to look at doing some integration there.
There's a comment here. It's a question, but it's probably more of a comment. There is a more direct question that relates to it, which is whether we could do a webinar on security for remote access to corporate intranet. But the more direct question is, how can we manage security on our intranet with a distributed workforce?
Perfect. That's a really good comment and a good question as well. So I'll probably touch on both of those, and then we'll probably wrap things up there. There are a few other questions which we'll come back to everyone individually, but in terms from a time perspective, we will look to wrap up the webinar after this question over here. So that's a really good question. So in terms of us running a webinar around security for remote access of a corporate intranet, that's a really fantastic idea, and I think we'll definitely add that to the list. I think that's a very, very popular topic and something that's on everyone's minds right now. It might also change that statistic of how many people are focused on mobile for their intranet, if they are comfortable and know that they can be secure. So we'll definitely take that on board. Thank you for that really fantastic idea. Moving to the question that came from that in terms of how do we manage the security in the intranet with the distributed workforce, there are really many ways in which you can manage the security on the intranet and authenticate users to ensure that only the appropriate user can see the information and documents that they're allowed to see. That's obviously in terms of users once they're on the intranet, but more so how do they actually get access to the intranet? Because remember, you don't just want pages sitting all over the show for anyone to find and then try log into. So there are ways to securely set up intranets to be accessed externally. And if you want, we'd be happy to arrange a more detailed explanation of how Elcom CMS can actually address it. It is quite not a too detailed or technical discussion, but it's probably a bit more advanced than what we're covering on the webinar today. But there are some great examples we've got of intranets like that, and we'd be more than happy to discuss the best practices to ensure the security of your intranet for a distributed workforce. Fantastic. So I think we'll wrap up everything over there. We've had quite a lot of questions come in that we'll answer. For those that we didn't get to answer right now, we will be in touch with you individually. But I would like to thank everyone for your time today. It's fantastic to have you all on the webinar today, and it's been fantastic engagement, great questions, and we hope you found the webinar useful, interesting, and there's some great tips that you can actually implement straight away. We've really enjoyed it, and we hope you've enjoyed our Intranet Success webinar, Communicating with the Distributed Workforce. We look forward to seeing you all very, very soon. Thank you very much.
Thanks.